Hey, sometimes the Dolphins do you a solid. Let's hope they do us some more solids going forward over the next couple of weeks. That would be real solid. But for me, I was sick all week. I wanted a slam dunk podcast, no murkiness. And the Dolphins pulled it out. Now, there was a little bit of murkiness in that second half, but overall, Dolphins did what they were supposed to do, win, which I think we all kind of thought. They just had more talent. We have more speed, and we're a better team. There's some things we saw that maybe aren't going to make us so happy. We'll see. But this was what we wanted to see. Tua with Jonnu and OBJ with his drops. Hill and Waddle really just accentuating things. I'm going to get into the game. We're 5-6. Colts lost. We're in the 8th seed. It's that 7th seed for me, I think, is the key. Some people in the comments section said, hey, well, look at, Steelers lost. And I can get into that, but it's going to take a lot for us to go 6 or 7 wins out of the next bunch. Certainly 7, I think, is not going to happen. But I could see maybe 6. We'll see. This Thursday is creating the perfect matchup for all us evaluators. There was one commenter, I can't remember her name. She's like, she was getting worried about my evaluating the offensive line. And maybe she's right. Maybe this offensive line is good. There's not just her, lots of people. There's people who say Tua's no good. There's people who say Tua's great. There's people who say the defense. We're all going to find that stuff out on Thursday night. We're in the AFC East. There's going to be cold games. You have the Chiefs. You have Ravens. These are top teams you're likely going to see in their house in the postseason when it's ugly. We've got a back to the wall. We've beaten up 3 weaker teams, pretty weak teams. I wouldn't say Rams are weak, but they're about above average. Obviously, Raiders and Patriots are not good. So this is our opportunity. Tua, I think, did everything he could. Clearly, so when he got pulled out, it all went to the Kabaje. So I'm going to get into the game. I got a whole bunch of stats here and information. I'll give you my take. We should be happy. 5-6. Here we go. And we got the perfect litmus test for everything. Not just Thursday, but definitely Thursday. And then going forward, let's see what we got. But I like to be an evaluator. So if you're a Patriots fan, I got to tip my hat to you. I mean, your team's not good. It's clear. But you got some good pieces. That is clear. And I don't like to extol on game day another team, but I think even the most staunch Dolphin fan realizes Drake May is very, very, very good. He looks like Josh Allen, except not as big, a little bit faster, and a better throwing mechanics and reading process. This guy looks to be a stud, and I hate to say that. I really do. This guy, he showed so much. I had said if you could win the game, obviously he would be like mind-blowing, but if you could have kept it close. But he did everything in his power. The fumble, But this kid is a stud. Douglas, guy is super quick in short area space, made some clutch catches for you. Hooper and Henry, nice little compliment, tight ends, not much in the receiver department. Your offensive line is very poor. And I think Dolphin fans and even Patriots fans should realize when you're making fun of Tua, he doesn't have an offensive line this bad, but it's been in that area at certain points. The offensive line pulls down the quarterback position, and you could see with May it happen. You should have seen in the past it happened with Tua. Tua and May uplift both these offensive lines differently. Tua with his release, May with his size and movement, and some really good throw skills. So you guys, Duggar underachieved for you. I thought Mayo was surprised he went through so much man. He did some good adjustments in the second half, but you guys, I pointed out, I keyed out in the game, the offensive line's terrible. It's so bad. And your linebacker is a little bit slow. You got a little bit not able to really run the man coverage against a secondary like ours. But when you got a piece like May and some of these other pieces I talked about, there's a real opportunity for you, which I don't want. So congratulations on picking, obviously, the right quarterback. Didn't get the game, but this says good things for your future. But now, on to my Dolphins, okay? Clearly, we won the game. We've got the better team. some things, holes in there, some depth problems. We'll get into that. But overall, man, 2 of 4 touchdowns, 25 of 33, 290 yards, 75%. But we have to understand. So what we'll hear is, look how, fantastic the offensive line is. And that diminishes the skill talent, McDaniel and Tua. Guys, we had 88% clean throws. So out of 100%, 88% was 1.97 seconds. Okay, and it wasn't just dink and dunk this time. It was 7.4 yards average depth of where he was starting to look, and then 8.8 target range. This really looks a lot like the 2022 season as far as production. Now, there was only about 12% blitzes, but we dropped our pass rush mitigation. We lowered the screens and the play actions. It's down to a low 37%. And this put more guys in routes. And Tua did everything possible. He made some nice movement plays. He made some good throws. The only thing I didn't like was the end of the first half. He had 2 bad throws, and they're very risky. He just needs to get those out and just not do them, even when you're winning. But other than that, it was a very, very good day. So Tua and this skills group just overwhelmed what the Patriots have. Patriots couldn't get pressure with their 4. They got White, Jennings, and Barmore. Barmore and White are slower type pass rushers. It's not going to help you. And Jennings is pretty good, but they don't have enough to really generate that stuff. And the linebackers got exposed. So this was just us overwhelming and doing what we should. I think our run game wasn't as good as it should have been. I'm not going to say it's to be a concern, but again, you could see Tua uplifting this whole thing with his speed of throw. Now, Waddle, 8 targets, 7 receptions, 141 yards, and 1 TD. They just looked so overwhelmed. Waddle had a really good day. That diving catch, some people say it wasn't a catch. It hit the ground. Whatever. It was a catch. It was ruled a catch. Waddle had a very good day. Jonnu, again, Waddle had 1 touchdown. Jonnu, 9 targets, 7 receptions, 71 yards, TD. He's doing what, if you've been watching me for a while, I've been talking about 4-point tension. That means tension to the top, tension to the sidelines, and tension down to the line of scrimmage. And our run game with Achane does it. Jonnu does that because you have to focus on him because he's out usually in an inline position. And then obviously Hill and Waddle, they're going to focus on the edges and the deep and that pocket post. And so you're getting these defenses don't know what to do. Now, this is a lower end defense. That's fair. And we got to see what happens. There's ways to mitigate that. But we're going to get tested out this week. But clearly, Jonnu, Waddle, Hill had a pretty good day. Achane, he didn't have a great day on the ground, but it's not his fault. Do you see some of the runs he had? The little space moves where he just cuts on a dime and picks up some extra yards. The physicality to be able to drop his center of gravity and take those hits. Very, very physical. Very good day. I saw somebody say they thought Achane got dinged up or something. I don't know about that. Only 7 carries for 24 yards, 3.4 yards per carry. Lamb and Eichenberg are not good run blockers, and it sucks things down. Julian Hill struggles at times too. And so that's going to be something we're going to have to pay attention to go forward. But Achane's a stud. Did you see when he lined out wide and did the flight? I mean, he had him toast. If the ball had been put out a little bit farther, maybe he could have caught it. I think it was a little bit off throw by Tua. Unbelievable play by the linebacker, Ellis, I think his name was. But that's a threat. And teams, even whether he caught it or he didn't catch it, they're going to be, having their butts puckered over that. This kid's going to grow. He's going to grow he's going to hopefully get a better offensive line, and he's going to grow in his route tree. This kid is a stud of stud, a star of stars. The only thing holding him back from true greatness is us developing an offensive line to give him more yards before contact and his health. Truly, I mean, there's a lot of things I don't like about Greer, but this one, and some people say it was McDaniel's pick, is a super duper pick. And then there's Wright. Wright only had 7 for 39, 3.9, a little bit better than Achane. He had the fumble, but it was a little high. It was up on the plate. When you hand that football off, it's flesh over here. It doesn't have the same rebound. But when you hit the plate that high, and he still should have got it, but that was very high. Skylar needs that. That's like basic. And when the ball hits the plate, it bounces really quick. You got to put it in the bread basket. I checked to see his hands. His hands were right, like this. So that's not his fault. But you see, if you notice though, when he ran to the edge, he doesn't have that maneuverability to cut back and zigzag. And so he's a little limited, I think, in our zone stretch until we have the ability to block more inside and open the cutback at a shorter space. But if you sort of won his zone stretch run, he had it. He might have had more, but the one I remember, he broke like 2 tackles. Guy's a freak. There was another one where he had to run off the edge. He is so tough. He's a one tough power, fast runner. And both these guys, and my man PJ poured into that. Greer missed some cycles, clearly missed some cycles, but one cycle he hit was the running back cycle. Genty from Boise State, I think, and the move to pass balance is starting the running back trend. We got 2 of them, 2 studs. I think the only limitation is, again, the offensive line. Then there's Chop. Chop sucks. I mean, I prefer Sweat because that's what I think we need. But I don't know how people were like killing this kid. He's not, he was taking advantage. This is the worst offensive line that we've had. Whether you go from, 2000, I don't know, they might be as bad as 2021. But 22, 23, 24, they're like way worse, So they've got a terrible offensive line, but he has been bringing the impact. This kid's only going to get better. His technique's going to get better. His understanding is going to get better. He's got the speed and the physicality. He ended up with 8 pressures, 1 sack, and 1 bat, and he was a nightmare. Again, they're no good. This offensive line's terrible, but it doesn't matter. Did Verse have that many pressures and sacks? I don't know, but this guy had a day. He dominated. Was I think it was the 5th drive, or maybe it was the 3rd drive, or 2nd drive for the Patriots. He's like dominated. He shut it down. And so I don't care about the offensive line. He did what he had to do. He dominated. Now, Walker Jr. got injured. Some people say you saw him crying. It was a hamstring thing. That's not good for us. He's really helped us with the coverage. Some people are saying Long being gone's an issue. He was too much of a hindrance. Couldn't cover. You had to get rid of him. And the fact that you got Dotson and you moved off him, it was a masterstroke. It was he had the pick. I think he's a good player. I don't know if he's as good in coverage as Walker, and it certainly hurts if Walker's out for 4 or 5 games, if he's that bad. Then you're going to see Duke more, and these key games coming up, that linebacker, you could see how their linebacking group was taken advantage of. Now, I think Brooks is really good. Al from 2 yards per carry has talked about him up pretty highly, and he's proven to be exactly what he said. I still think getting off blocks is an issue, but it hasn't been an issue so far. Detrimental. But with Dotson and Brooks, I think we got a good linebacking group. He is a good player. He was very, very good last year for the Bills, thankfully, because Tyndall is a disaster. Tyndall, if he's not, this is year 3 or 2 or 3 or whatever. Yeah, 3. And Walker's gone, hopefully, for not too long. So that was the linebacker. Now, Sealer was a guy. He came out. He had that huge shutdown on the outside edge run by Ramadre. He had 1 pressure, 1 sack, 3 stops. He's a star. He's a star and a stud. Some people are saying he's better than Wilkins. Wilkins got injured. Would he got injured here? I don't know. I think they're both pretty darn good. I still think Wilkins is a little bit better inside. I like Sealer better outside as that edge position, because he was a 3-4 DE, and then we brought him here and kind of moved him inside a little bit, although he played 5 technique a lot with Flores and even with us. But I think he's better out there rather than here inside in the A gap. But I think both those guys are great. But Sealer had an unbelievable day. Really some huge plays for us. Then Paul, I'll stick with the defense. Ramsey, 2 blitzes, the blitz that forced the pick for Dotson, and he had a couple nice plays. He's still a star. I mean, I don't know if it's going to lead us to anything big, but this guy is still a star, played really well. Duck Came in, he had some coverage, played, I think, pretty good all day. I think he had one catch on him. I got to check to see it. It was a comeback, and he was a little late on the delivery, but overall, really good. Cam Smith, he had the penalties. I think it was a penalty. With the hip, you pull it the last time, you're going to get it. I've seen it gets called a ton. I don't think it was tic-tac. I think it was a semi-decent return off the break, out of the break, but a little bit late, and he knew it. I think that's why he pulled the hip. But, I got to see how he played overall. What else we got? Plays, chop, domination, 2 at the end of the half. So the only one, the last one is Paul. And, he came in. He had some reps. I thought it was the perfect time for him. I don't want to see him start, but I like this. It was an awkward situation because you brought Paul in, I think, after Tehran left, and then you brought Skyler in, and then you didn't want to bring Tehran back in. So he got some starting reps with Tua, and I thought that was good. I got to go over his play. There was one call I think he got where Tua booted out, and it was like a hold or something. I thought that was a little ticky-tack. We'll see. But I thought that was good that he got some reps in this situation. But overall, we clearly have some depth issues. We do take advantage of poorish teams. This is, if you go look at how we play against all good offensive lines, it's a little different. Go and check the teams with the good offensive lines. The defense struggles a little bit more against bad offensive line. They feast. We'll see this week. It's not a great offensive line with Green Bay, but my man Zach Tom, who I wanted us to get, we're going to see him. You get to watch your eyes on him, see how he plays. We kind of feast on bad defense. This is a pretty good defense with a pretty good secondary. It's going to be cold, maybe even snowing. We're going to have a short week. This is going to tell us what we're really about. I think we can afford a loss. And if you go down the list of teams that we're playing, this one is the most non-conducive. And so if we lose it and it's close and we fight through it, I wouldn't say we're doomed at all. You could lose this one, then you just win the rest of them out. And even if you don't make the postseason, you could say, oh, okay, Greer and McDaniel's build is good. But if we go to Green Bay and we get blown out, it really has got to, you got to say, uh-oh, and then you watch the rest of the season. But I think Tua has proven enough, guys. If he had a better offensive line, I think he would be way better. And I think you got to always kind of add that context. And I think that offensive line should add a little context to McDaniel too. But it's got to go back to Greer. If we don't win substantially over the next couple of weeks, then I would be less, for me, my evaluation, I'm less down on Tua, less down on McDaniel, and highly down on Greer. But if we win 6 out of 7, don't make the postseason, then all the stuff returning is, I think it's fair. So here we are. We did what we had to do. It wasn't absolutely pretty. I thought we kind of got wonky in the second half. But you're 5-6. You got Green Bay. Prime time on Thanksgiving. Take it. Prove it. At least put a show up to show that you are serious. So that's it, guys. I would be, what else can you do? Let's just see. Don't say that we're going to do this. We're not going to do this. This wasn't a total domination game. Mostly it was. Got a little sloppy. Did what we had to do, but here we are. And this should be the final evaluation. You got a bunch of cold weather games. You got a bunch of games against tough teams. We beat bad teams. And even if you're an above average team, we can go back and forth. We beat Dallas last year. It was an above average team, despite the record. So this is it. Take it. Show that you are the right team and keep going forward. If not, it's got to scrap things. That's my eval. But we'll see. I hope you enjoyed. Enjoy. Relax. Good times. Plenty of stress coming over Thanksgiving. Curtis saying, be well, go Phins. Curtis out. Start building your own online sportsbook today by getting signed up with aceperhead.com service that'll allow you to book action on sports from all around the world.